Hello and welcome to another segment of Interviews That Matter. I'm your host Raj Mehta. Friends, in this segment we bring those guests who influence our lives. This includes elected officials, policymakers, heads of major organizations and other dignitaries. It is my sincere hope that the knowledge brought in by these guests will help our community. Today we have such guest. His name is Honorable Upendra Chikula. Upendra Chikula has a very interesting career right from the engineering all the way to the politicians and elected official. Honorable Mr. Chivkula, welcome sir, welcome.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Your time. I mean, I am kind of, one thing I tell you, I am really honored to have you here.
It's honor is mine.
You are a pride of our community.
Thank you.
And it's really, I feel really great, to have you here. I wanted to have you before, but somehow it didn't happen. And fortunately, I met you, and it worked out. So I'm really glad, and really thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Yeah. So as I said that you're really a pride of our community, and we are very proud of you. Let's go with your background first. Let's talk to the viewers that who you are and how did you come about here up to this stage. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I come from a poor family in India and in southern part of India. I was born in Andhra Pradesh. Grew up in Chennai, where I did all my studies there, and got my bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. And then I moved to Mumbai, where I worked for a water treatment company called Ion Exchange India Limited. From there, a friend of mine by name Gopal Bhai Desai, he suggested I should go to America. And I said, I don't know anybody there, but he said, don't worry, we'll find somebody. And he helped me, and you wouldn't believe, when I applied to only one college, City College, New York. And those days the foreign exchange was so difficult to get, and the application fee was $20 at that time. And so I applied to one college, I got the admission, and they sent me the I-20 paperwork. And but U.S. consulate in Mumbai rejected my visa the first time.
Oh yeah?
They said, why should we believe that Gopal Bhai Desai, your sponsor, is not related to you? Why should we believe that he is going to really help you? And that was first rejection. And then I had to go find some relative. I thought relative was not a requirement, but then I found some distant relative. But the second time I went, they said, well, he does not have enough bank balance. So they rejected my visa.
Again?
Again.
Wow.
So then I said, America is not for me. But I went back to Gopal Bhai Desai, and he said, don't worry. And he gave me, at that time, 32,000 rupees, which is equivalent to $4,000.
Wow, okay.
And he said, take this money, no papers, you go deposit the money in the bank, take the letter from the bank manager to the consulate. So I did that, I got my visa.
Gopal Bhai Desai, how did you meet him?
No, he's a family friend. We were satsangis, and we were, it's a very wonderful family. He was he's no more, but he was a businessman. He was in import-export business with Japan. And his older brother, Krishna Bhai Desai, he was a chief engineer, retired chief engineer when I met him, Bombay Port Trust.
Wow, interesting.
Very great family.
Very good. I mean, some people do good things and you remember them forever.
Right. I mean, one thing he told me that, look, I'm giving you this money. A lot of times people don't return the money. I expect you to return the money.
Okay.
And I said, how could I help? How could I return the favor? You are really doing me.
Right.
She said, no, you find other people and help them.
Oh, wow.
That was his. So basically, what it tells you is that you may not be able to help the same person, but there are opportunities to help others.
There you go. Yep, I agree. And it's a chain, right? I mean,
that's right.
Right. So
then after that I studied in City College, got my master's degree in electrical engineering. Then I started working for different companies, private sector. Started with CBS Television Network as audio video maintenance engineer.
Ah,
Then,
interesting.
then I went to New Jersey,
Right.
where I was in the power plants, nuclear and fossil power plants, operated training simulators.
Okay.
So I was a design engineer.
Okay.
And then I worked for another company in Pennsylvania, waste treatment company, and then I then went to AT&T, Bell Labs, where I spent 18 years, and I was designing telecommunication circuit tests, test systems, and all that. So why I'm telling you all that is that that really ties up to my work in the legislature as well as the Board of Public Utilities. All the engineering, my background really helps me to do what I am able to do.
So after like Bell Labs, did you left the Bell Lab, or
Yeah, what happened was that while I was working for Bell Labs,
Right.
going back to 1985, 87, that time frame, there were very few Indian Americans at that time.
Right.
So I wanted to make a difference and wanted to get into grassroots politics.
Okay.
And we were writing white papers about issues that are affecting the Indian Americans at that time, whether it's immigration, business opportunities for minority women-owned businesses, and Ivy League school admissions, racial bias, hate crimes. At that time they had the Dot Busters case,
Right,
all that.
I
So
remember that.
all those things. I was involved in that during that time. So then I went into so we were doing the grassroots politics, getting people to register to vote. Once they become citizens, and so then one thing led to another. Then I became the chairman of the Democratic Party in Franklin Township.
Oh, okay.
That's because not because I wanted it, because nobody else wanted it. So I looked at that as an opportunity,
Right.
and started changing the political scene, and I got the prominence towards the party politics. And then in 1997, I got the opportunity to run for the township council.
Okay.
As a Democratic council member.
Right. Right.
And the people were saying, with Chivkula, with the accent, and nobody's going to elect you and all that.
Right,
It was
right,
back
right.
many, many years ago.
Yeah.
And so I had to come up with a way for people to remember my name. I used to tell people, don't worry about Chivkula. Think about you're driving a Chevy and drinking a cola, Chevy Cola.
Okay.
And people remember that mnemonic, and they remember that. And I won the first election with a very good majority.
Okay.
And so 97, 98, I became deputy mayor.
Oh, okay, very good.
And then year 2000, I became mayor.
Oh.
And the council elects the mayor. And
Right,
so
right.
Then in year 2001, there was all this legislative redistricting was going on.
Right, right.
And a lot of work behind the scenes, but I got opportunity to run for state assembly. And again, there was nobody in the state legislature at that time of South Asian origin.
Right, right.
And so when I ran for that, and of course I had primary opponents. I had two Caucasian Americans and one African American running against me in the primaries.
Wow.
But
Wow.
I was able to defeat all the three of them, and I got elected in the primary.
Right.
Then 9/11 happened.
Oh, okay.
And it was a very tough time for the nation,
Right,
and
right,
there's
right.
a lot of distrust against the immigrants.
Salvation,
Immigrants,
right,
oh
yeah,
my God, it was
immigrants,
so
right.
difficult. So sometimes I found some people didn't want to shake hands with me.
Wow,
they
interesting.
didn't
Wow.
trust and all that. But because of my track record, my work, and I did managed to get elected 6 weeks after 9/11.
In November.
In
at that
November,
time,
right.
2001.
2001.
Wow.
With a 2-to-1 majority.
2-1. Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So that was
It's remarkable.
right. I mean, it says a lot about the American people.
Right.
It also says that if you're sincere, if you're hardworking, and people know you, I think you can overcome any barrier. So then I served in the assembly for 13 years.
13 years.
So
Wow.
I was elected 7 times.
7 times. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
every 2 years we have elections.
Right, right.
And
right.
then I became the chairman of the Assembly Telecommunication Utilities Committee, and where I was able to get about many legislations with respect to renewable energy, solar energy, wind energy, and with energy efficiency, biomass, all those things I was able to do that. Newark Star Ledger, actually they called me Mr. Energy in New Jersey.
Wow.
All my legislations. Then I also did a lot of work in terms of promoting world languages. I promoted some of the benefits for children with autism, like early intervention programs, and I had legislations for that. I also had some of the legislations helping the senior citizens, and there's a lot of human services related things. And being a scientist, I started a Science and Technology Caucus in the Assembly.
Okay.
And I did all that. And year 2014, September, Governor Christie nominated me to be on the Board of Public Utilities.
Okay.
And I was confirmed by the Senate.
Right.
And I started the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities Commissioner on October 6th, 2014.
Oh, okay. Okay. So since then you are the commissioner. Current.
Right.
Currently, right? Yeah.
Right.
Tell me something.
It's a 6-year term.
It's a 6-year term.
Right.
Okay.
The interesting thing is I just wanted to highlight something.
Sure.
You know, Franklin Township was the first Indian American elected to office, became a mayor, and in the state legislature I was the first Indian American South Asian to be elected, and in the Board of Public Utilities in 103 years I'm the first Indian American South Asian and the second person of color. This is an electrical engineer.
You know what? I have to shake your head again.
Thank
So
you.
I'm, like I told you before also, I mentioned that, you know, we are very proud of you. All these achievements that you, you know, I have gotten all this so far, and obviously, you know, we really like to get your secret mantra. Okay, so that's really, we have to get it from you and for the viewers' benefit. And the whole purpose of the show is really to encourage our people, our community people, to do what you did.
Right.
Okay, in whatever way they can, right? That's the purpose of this show. So, first of all, you know, I want to ask you that, you know, after like you worked for Bell Lab, you know, for so many years, and you got involved in the Franklin Township, you know, is there a mentor you had, or did you see somebody and that's how you got prompted into going into this, or how did that happen? I mean, why did you, like, you know, person who's working at Bell Lab, I mean, obviously you were happy.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
You were making good money and you were happy. So why did you decide to go into this thing? Is there?
No, I think you know, there are many people. You know, it's not a single person. I think a lot of you get inspiration. You draw inspiration from different people because everybody has some unique characteristic that really shows them that they excel. And so for me, just like you, I like to do public service. I wanted to help people because Gopal Bhai and Krishna Bhai Desai, they were really instrumental in my coming to America. Otherwise, I had no chance of coming here. And somebody like that take interest in me and did that. That means there is something that I have to make sure that I give it back and giving back to the society. America has been great to me, and I wanted to do that. And it was I was learning from, you know, I did not see the barriers, whether it's white, black, brown. I did not see that thing. And I try to learn from each and every community that is possible. And along when I was involved in the Democratic Party, I ran into a lady by name Kanak Datta.
Okay.
And she's a Bengali woman.
Okay.
And she's my, she really took me in and helped me quite a bit.
From the beginning? From
the beginning. And she was wearing a sari in Somerset County.
Wow.
She contested for Assembly in early 80s.
Okay.
Amazing.
Before you?
Yeah, way before me.
Way before you, right.
And it was Democratic politics don't work well in Somerset County. But she was very active in the Democratic Party. She was a member of the Democratic National Committee. And she was she took interest in me, and she guided me through the process.
So she would be the one. But I mean, you know, see, the thing is, it's really in your heart to help people. I mean, that is the reason why you really did what you did,
That's correct.
right, and that came from Gopal Bhai and other people. And do you think that it has to do with some kind of a values, religious values that you have, helping, giving? I mean, that's what basically all the religions.
Right, right. We say lokas,
Right, I mean, yeah,
lokas,
right.
sukhino bhavantu, right? Samasta lokas, sukhino bhavantu, and also trying to promote peace and harmony. I think these are all the values, the culture that the Hinduism has taught me. When I went to school in India, I went to Hindu Theological School, high school, where we always have a bindi in our face. We start the day with a prayer. And I used to chant Aditya Hrudayam, Vishnu Sahasranamam, all those things. Especially in the south, is everywhere you go, there are lots of temples and all that. And so that is there. That is that foundation of culture and values are there. And something about India, because India has given me education. Created the pride and the dignity and self-respect. In spite of the economic conditions, those things come and go, the changes all the time. But what is the foundation my parents put in me, and it was phenomenal. And I mean, there was sky's the limit. My mother used to really encourage me, and even though she had a very limited education, but she was quite an entrepreneur. She went out and learned music on her own, vocal music and instrumental music, playing veena. And she used to give tuitions and then make money and help us. And so I think there are, life is like that. You get influenced by so many people. You don't, it's so hard to say one person you don't attribute to that, because life is a constant. Life is like a river.
Every day you learn something.
Yeah, as the river is flowing, it comes in contact with stones, rocks, sand, trees, leaves, branches, and so it learns and then it goes. I think that's what life is all about.
So, how many brothers, sisters you were growing up?
Growing up, I have 2 brothers and 3 sisters.
Okay, so it's a large family.
It's six
so 6 of them, 6 of you. Right. Okay, and did you get musical values from your mother?
Yeah, I mean, I
sing?
Somewhat. I have not been blessed with a very good voice, but I do have the inclination to follow the tunes, and so I do. I did take some classes, and I try to sing, and when I go to the temples, and some bhajan songs and things like that.
So you. Yeah, I mean, you do sing though.
Yeah, I do some sing. So,
There you go, see? We may ask you to sing here. So.
I don't know, I thought you wanted to talk about how I got here.
Well, we found out something new, right?
No, I think you learn. I think they say sambandham saptapadinam. So you come in contact with different people. And so you association, and then you will learn. There's one Dr. Shobha Raju, and she was a musician, and she sang Annamacharya Kirtanas, and praising Lord Venkateshwara Balaji. And she had a class. I went there to felicitate her, and the next thing I know, I was sitting in the class. There were a lot of students, and she made me sing. First song I sang was Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, like Acharya Devo Bhava, songs like that. So I think I think music, we all have music in us, and some of us let it out, some of us only keep it private.
Well, let me tell you something, on the air, that I sing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I sing in many different places. Before I used to have like a team of tabla and harmonium guys, but now I use karaoke basically. Karaoke, and on my phone also I have Mera Gana all the time. So I do sing
film songs or classic songs.
Mostly film songs.
Yeah,
mostly film songs, old film songs basically. And so I enjoy it. I mean, I'm not a professional. I never learned anything, but I enjoy it. and somehow people also likes it. So
right, the music is a universal language,
Right,
and it's an
right.
expression of your emotions. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, yeah. I sing from heart, so that's why
That's
people really feel good about it.
As long as they're entertained,
Yep,
that's
yep, yep.
important.
Let me talk to you about when you got first elected in the Franklin's Square, township, right? What was the demographic of I mean, minorities versus non-minorities, like South Asian versus non-South Asians? What was that? I mean, approximately.
Yeah, South Asian was less than 2%.
Less than 2%.
Right.
And majority was like 98% was.
Well, we had that time about maybe close to 20% African American.
Okay.
One section of the town.
Okay.
And then Hispanics, not even 0.5%, very small number. And rest of it is all Caucasian white.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, how, obviously, it was not, it was a big challenge for you to really, with the name, also with your values, you have to really kind of convince them, right? It was not easy, I believe.
It was, I think what happened was that because of my hard work with the Democratic Party, and I was able to, I had used some strategic thinking, I was able to get the nomination to be on the town council. First I was appointed.
Right.
On,
first time you were appointed?
Just for 6 months, yeah, because somebody passed
So then
away.
you had to fight for the election.
Right. So even fight for getting that nomination was also a challenge. Even though I was the chairman of the Democratic Party, I had a tough time getting that.
Oh, is that?
But
Okay.
I think this, because the electability, when you talk about, people talk about electability. Oh, okay, we'll put you there, will you get elected?
Right.
And I got the appointment.
Right.
And so what I did the next day, I started knocking on doors.
Oh.
I must have knocked on more than a couple of thousand houses.
Oh, wow, okay.
And a lot of people, it's different demographics,
Right.
people from Lithuania, some people from Ukraine, different people. I used to go connect with them and explain who I am doing. That some people are really surprised that they have never seen an elected official come, because I was appointed, and so they were really happy to see me. I gathered information about what their issues are, how I can help them. So I used that 3 or 4 months before the election cycle. And I was appointed in June, and the election was in November.
Right.
So it was not a whole lot of time, but I had to reach to a lot of people and communicate with them and show that I was sincere, I care, I want to do something better for the society. So that helped me get over. Plus it also helps you, when you work in the private companies, and then I went through the Dale Carnegie training.
Oh, okay.
So what happened is that the Dale Carnegie has 3 major areas.
Right.
One is how to win friends and influence people.
Influence people. I know that book. There was a book there.
That is the communication skills.
Right.
Intercommunication.
Right.
And then you have public speaking, which is the verbal communication, and then you have the written communication, 2 courses on that. And one of the things about how to stop worrying and start living, that's part of the Dale Carnegie course. And so you learn those things, and then you improve your skills. A lot of the times people want to run for office, but their communication skills, whether it is not so much the accents and all that, it is more about how we are able to articulate your message.
Right.
So how we are able to use the salesmanship, win over people based on your ideas, rather than your ethnicity. I think it goes across. If you have ideas, I think I look at politics as problem solving. If you have the ability to do the problem solving, you can, problems they go across different communities. So as long as, if it is a property taxes, it's not just for one community, it's across everybody.
Right.
Healthcare issues, it's for everybody. Transportation for everybody.
Right.
If you have ideas, and if you are able to articulate those ideas, how to implement them, and people are going to give you a look and the second look and give you the opportunity.
So 2 things that came into my mind from you, whatever conversation we had, that one is the party backing is important.
Right.
Party backing is important. Any party you are, whatever you are, doesn't matter. And the second thing, that communication, that how you communicate, with people.
Right.
Like communication skill is very important. And you got that from Dale Carnegie courses. You took some courses.
And the professional work, yeah.
And right, so that's how you improved it. You had it already, but you improved it basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So our viewers basically, like if someone wants to really go to the next step, your path rather, they have to kind of affiliate with one party and really work.
Right. No, I
from
think
ground level.
I think the key here is that you need a base. You need somebody to help you because our numbers are so small.
Right.
So if you have organizational support, that will really help you. I think that is important.
Right.
And all the skills are important in that. To win over the party, also you need to be able to convince them that you are the right candidate. You are electable. A lot of the times people just go there and 100% depend on the party. It is just party. It's like I look at it. Party is like a resume. Gives you, it gets you in the door. Then it's up to you how you can sell your capabilities and how you're going to show that your hard work and you're going to make a difference. That you have to show that you are a problem solver. So in my case, I had to make a transition from being an electrical engineer. Well, engineers are, when there is nothing, it's always black and white. There's nothing, shades of gray. Because you are communicating. Because it's all based on science, facts, and all that. Politics is very tricky in that it's about emotions. And you are, whether it's being a politically correct, whatever that could be, but I think it is about appealing to the people's emotions. And I think that's where the transition I had to go through in that, become a salesman from an engineer to a salesman. And you have to highlight that, and that's basically that's what I did.
And how the money issue comes in this mix?
Well, I think it all depends in that, depending on the office you're running for. In the local elections, I think now money has become such an important part everywhere, all levels, especially in the Northeast, the very expensive media market, New York and Philadelphia and all that. It's a challenge. But I think our community has to come forward. We have South Asian community, Indian community. They are quite affluent people, but I think it's a lot of what I'm finding out, a lot of the candidates, Indian American candidates, they're having tough time raising funds, in spite of the fact that the community has a lot of affluence. So when I started, I did, people were not giving money. Let me put it that way. I raised very limited amount of money for my first campaign. I'm talking about 1997. And then I realized that we need to have a large network. So I had, within a couple of years, I gave away 2,000 business cards. And I collected 3,000 or 4,000 business cards. So that is, again, it's like in your business, how you do business, you have the network, and people are going to give you money for a reason. The one reason could be that they know you, they care about you, they believe that you can do something for better. And sometimes people give you money because they expect something from you. I think, so this is where I think we have to educate the community, Indian American, South Asian community, that in politics, unlike in other countries, here there is no quid pro quo. So just because you gave me $100 doesn't mean that I can do $100 or $1,000 worth of things. You cannot have that feeling. So we have to educate the donor as well as the donee. So as a candidate, you need to understand how to expand your universe to raise the money. And I was quite successful at raising the money. And I had, in 18 years of my elected office, I had contested in 11 elections. And 9 of them for my town council, 2 of them, and then 7 elections for the assembly. And I did contest for Congress, and 2 times. One time in 2012 and one time in 2014. The 2012 I raised almost $1 million. And was because it was a very grueling task of asking people for money. And 2012 was a very tough election because I was going up against a two-term incumbent and very popular and a very Republican stronghold. But it taught me a lot of things and I was able to learn a lot. In 2014, I ran in the primary. It was a four-way primary.
Okay.
And even though I should have won that election, I give you the demographics is astounding in that it's only 3-month time because it was from March to June. That's all we had.
Oh, because primary was in June.
June, and the incumbent congressman announced the retirement in March.
Oh, okay, there you go.
And
so
I did the calculation, and 3 months, and I raised almost $350,000 in 3 months. And what happened is that there were 16,000 registered Democrats from the South Asian community.
Okay. Okay.
And my calculation was if I could get 50% of them to come out and vote,
Right.
I could win this election.
Right.
And only 2,000 came out.
See, that's
Our
a bigger
turnout,
issue.
turnout. Some kind of disconnection with the electoral process. There is a lot of excitement about what is going on in India. They talk about it. I think we are a lot of what do you call? We look at politics as a spectator sport.
Right.
It is not. You have to really get involved. You have to encourage young people to run. You have to stand with them. Sometimes they win, sometimes they don't. But as long as they are improving from one election cycle to the other, you are making a big difference. And without giving without expectations. A lot of the times, political contributions. If you help somebody, if that person advances, it makes a big difference for the overall community. I tell you, in the legislature, I had more than 60 legislation signed into law.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I give you some example how people talk about when you help the constituents, 60% or 70% of the work is constituents. You help the people who come to you, say, I need this help, I need that help.
Right.
You help them.
Right.
And legislations form another 30-40% of the thing. And some of the legislation, I give you one example.
Right.
Do you know that the Hindu priests, like you have the rabbis of the Judaism and I guess priests and pastors of the Christianity, they could perform weddings and they can sign the paperwork for the marriage. Until I changed the law, the Hindu priests did not have that privilege.
Authority.
So that one of the major things which was part of another legislation. Then one Jain member of the community came to me and said, look, Upendra, I'm looking at this religious corporations statute, which is a law, only mentions 2 religions, Christianity and Judaism. Even though subsequently through the rule making process included other religions, he says it's not fair. We have to have bring equality. And I said, look, I'm the only one legislator in the assembly. I'm not even sure that I will get another sponsor in the Senate. How do you want me to? But I tried. I was able to. What I did, I got the reference to Christianity and Judaism taken out, so that all the religions were treated equally.
See, this is what people have to understand. That what you just said is that giving $100, where is benefit? Because many people think that, okay, well, what am I? Why should I give? That kind of thing, right? Many people think that way. But then whatever you pass through legislation, it helped everybody, kind of.
That's right.
So it's like a mass appeal and mass, it helps everybody in our community, right? So that's what, thinking should be, but unfortunately it's not. And the second thing you mentioned is the, voting. And I have, I've seen it that our people tend not to vote. So many times, politicians, they come into these events and all that. And there are 500 people in the event, Ganoratri, Garba and all that. Out of 500, I mean, hardly, 50 people might vote to go for a voting.
That's why they don't take us seriously.
That's why they don't take us seriously. And because we have to have either votes or money, right? Now, money, we are all happy. Everybody's happy, individually. But when we do this, obviously,
and also they also have to contribute also to the local
Right.
I mean, you have to see. It's like this. You have to communicate within your community.
Right.
Whether the food banks and whether soup kitchens, you have to help
Right,
them,
right,
and also fire districts and first aid workers. So you have to help them because they are all. A lot of them are volunteers. They depend on donation. That is very important.
Right,
Then
right,
you have
right,
to
right.
groom our youngsters and
Right.
help them towards a political office, and they need money. You got to stand with them and help them, because if you don't help them when they need it, it's where they get disenchanted and then they may not contest again.
So maybe that's the reason why we don't have too many, elected officials here in this area.
I think it is a lot of times people think it's a very difficult thing. For example, for in my 18 years of elected office,
Right.
There's a joke in my family when I was a council member,
Right.
which is for the township,
Right.
and I used to go between the events, stop by at home. My wife used to say, "Thank you for stopping by."
Okay.
And then once I became a state legislator, which is much broader responsibility.
Right,
so I used to call her, I'm doing this thing, and she said, "Thanks for checking in." So it is time commitment is a lot, and so we need to make sure you cannot just. I tell you, one of the things as a state legislator, even though probably my votes, maybe 10% came from the Indian South Asian community or Asian community.
Right.
I spent a lot of time helping the community. A lot of time, 60% of the time, because there was no representation.
Right,
I was the only one at the state level. So people used to call me from South Jersey, North Jersey, even neighboring states. They called me. I used to go there because I think symbolism is important, but I think it's all about representation. And even if you go to a place and a youngster sees that, hey, we have one of our own got elected to the state level office and gets the inspiration from that, I think we made a big difference.
No, I think you're right. I mean, you're very right, because like for example, here the viewers of the show would see that value and would see the benefit, really. That young people can come and say, hey, listen, I want to be like him.
Right.
And I'm sure that, if someone calls you, you'd guide them.
Definitely, they do.
Right?
They do call me. I guide them, and I
Right.
think that's what we have to do. With the tri-state area, we should be we should have a lot more elected officials. We're not able to get a lot of them in the so New York City Council. We should get somebody at the local level, at the county level. You have to get some people. But I think we have to lay the seeds for that, so that way we will reap the benefits. And people have to think politics is not a spectator sport, so you have to be in it to win it. And at the same time, people who are, you need a lot of cheerleaders who are not just lip service, but also support you with volunteering their time and also contributing something. It doesn't have to be thousands of dollars, $100. It's like investment. Somebody invests in you. It's like investing in some horse and things like that. You have to, it encourages them. That they say, oh my God, I have whole community behind me, so I can really go for, and that boosts the confidence.
Some of the people tried it here, right? But they were not successful. And I mean, there are various different reasons behind it, obviously. I mean, I know that from Queens, Satnam Singh, he ran for council.
Right.
Then Jennifer Rajkumar is running also this year, I guess. So some of the people are trying. Is there a way that people like you can create some kind of a something organize or help these people who are trying but they are not successful? So what is there missing? There's a missing. Something is missing.
No, I think what it is in the U.S. politics, the party structure has become very important. So my approach, what I did, grassroots politics. Because a lot of the times people need to understand the process. I remember one time for one mayor, Indian American from Teaneck, and he was a mayor, was a compromise candidate, he became a mayor, and he wanted to contest for assembly, and even though he's a Democratic mayor, he was not given the nomination for the assembly. And so he wanted to, we went to the convention floor, and he nominates himself, and he couldn't even get the second. So what I'm saying is that, that was a long time ago. But I think we need to understand the process. We need to create coalitions. Sometimes what I did, how I went through the process, first I built the support from the Asian Americans, that means Korean Americans, Japanese Americans, Filipino and Chinese. So I was able to I worked in their organization, they all knew me and they were willing to, I helped them and they were willing to help me. Then I built bridges with the African American community. So African Americans they thought I was one of their candidate, Hispanic community. So we need to build a base within our own community, but we also have to reach out to other communities, build that partnership that we have to do. It's a process you have to go through. Usually, for a New York City Council, if I were to run, and I would put about 4 years worth of work. Most of the candidates I have seen so far, I don't think they have been able to do that much time. So sometimes what happens is that it's like this in business. Sometimes you may start as a mailroom clerk, or you are just opening envelope, something small thing, but you work your way up. Similarly, in the politics also, if you are able to do and learn things at various levels, there's no dignity of labor here. Every job is important. And first thing I remember, we had to take the lesson from President Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter had the secret he had. He contributed to people, a lot of the candidates around the country, and most of them lost. So people who win the election, they may forget you, but the people who lose the elections, they never forget. So when he ran for the presidency of the United States in the primary process, he was able to reach out to all those people. They remembered him and they helped him. Here you have a peanut farmer from Georgia, was able to surprise everybody. That is, I think there is something to do that. What the message there is that you have to help other people when they are contesting in elections. Volunteer time, donate some money, whatever you can afford, and give your what happens is that the process, when you learn the process and you're making friends, and they will, when it is your turn, they will come back and most likely they will help you. I think that is one thing. That's why the 4-year term, 4-year period is very important, because you are going to, at least you will have 2 or 3 different elections that you go through. And so you will meet all the people, you help them, and that's how you build the base.
So, I do understand what you're saying, right? I mean, and also, like, mentor definitely, swings the period from 4 to maybe 3. I'm just guessing. So because mentor prodigy, like, for example, I'm also part of some mentor prodigy program from New York State and everything. So I always thought that, whatever we did now up to this 30 year in business, I could have compressed that growth in like half if I would have had a mentor. I never had a mentor.
No, definitely. I think we need to create that mentor system, and we need to. It's like a baseball, right? You have, you have A, double A, triple A, and you have. We had to create that system where we can start, identifying candidates and providing them the training, and depending on what their interests are, many of them go far, and we don't have any system like that. That's what we need to create. Because we don't have a whole lot of elected officials, that what happens is that every time politicians are driven by ego. Now, once you get to one position, you're always thinking about the next higher level position. So whether you are ready, your community is ready to support you, you try that, and then if you don't succeed, and then you disappear. See, that's another thing wrong.
That's another,
See, yes, somebody like me, even though I lost 2 congressional elections and all the stuff, and I am still, even though my job is limiting in that because of it's a quasi-judicial position, but I'm still out there talking to people, trying to help them in whatever limited way I can. And in a private setting, I can definitely guide people willing to share the knowledge, and I think that's what is important. One cannot forget, because I could say, oh, I'm appointed by the governor, and I don't have to do anything. I'm a bureaucrat now. I don't have to, but I am still out there talking to people, trying to guide them and do that, because that's what it is. Life is a relay race.
Right.
You have to hold on to the relay until you
right.
can really pass it on to the right person.
So on the air, you are willing to create this organization or something, create some kind of a.
Right,
so
willing
for
to provide,
For example, I know Jennifer Rajkumar. I mean, I've seen her on Facebook many times. I never met her. She's a very young, very promising lady, I believe, and she's running for city council. I believe she ran before also once. I'm not sure, but people like her, I'm talking about.
I think we have to create that. I mean, I'll be more than willing to give my time to help the process.
I mean, obviously, your time and knowledge.
Right. That's what I can do. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Good. I think we should pursue it. I mean, I don't know how, but we should really pursue it. This thing. I'm not as good as you are, obviously.
No. I think it's not about being good. It is the willingness to do something, make a difference, and I think. You could have. I think you already have some organizations. Have on a quarterly basis. Have once a quarter. Have meetings, training meetings, where meet and greets. You can set it up. Potential candidates who are interested in come, and it's a social hour. Come and meet and all the stuff. Create that network, and then there are a lot of resources available, training resources, and we can make them available to the people who are interested, and I think that's how we're going to build it. I think, as they say, Rome was not built in a day, and so we can have those get-togethers 4 times a year.
That's a great idea. I think if anyone is interested, you can email me, rajmitv@gmail.com. That's rajm, RAJM, @gmail.com. Or we'll also put, Honorable Mr. Chivkula's email address on the screen. So you can email him also. And I believe that I'll work with you. But I'll work with you to create something, and let's see if there is an interest comes up, right? We'll definitely try to do this.
Right. I think it's a partnership.
Yeah.
The person who is willing to run and the community willing to back that person.
Right.
And I think and of course there is proper amount of screening is needed, proper whatever is, no candidate is perfect, so we need to be able to fill in the gaps and help them.
Mold them basically, right? I mean, as you said, communication, right? Some people lack communication, but they're really hard worker. I've seen people. They are really hard worker. They are everywhere. They are every event that I go to, they are there. But at the same time, what they are lacking is communication. A little bit. That's the way I saw few people who I know. Right.
Yeah, so I think what it is also having, as a businessman, that strategy. You need to be able to strategy, problem solving. There are going to be obstacles when you're running for office. A number of obstacles come. How do you work around those obstacles? You develop the strategy for that. I think those are all one can learn.
What about, I mean, India could be at 22 different countries or 23 different countries, right? I mean, we've got from south to north and east to west. We got so many different languages. We got and there are different associations. What do you think that one should do in order to get support from a larger community? Not on I'm this so that I don't support this guy because he's not mine. Something like that. What is your
the key is that former House Speaker Tipu O'Neill said all politics is local, and sometimes what it is that you got to have support locally, because a lot of people completely rely on only the Indian community. You have to have local base. Your neighbors should know you, and your kids' school, teachers, and you have larger community. You have to know that. That is very important. And then what you need is that I found that humility is a very important. Even though they don't go together, your politicians are driven by ego, but there is nothing. As I said, there is no dignity of labor here. You can do anything you want, and you should not be ashamed of doing all those things. And then you never think about that. Always you have to start at the top. You could be a start as a party worker. You can start. There's nothing
Right.
wrong with that.
Right.
It's all learning process, and then you can all put it together. And I think as far as the Indian organization is concerned, languages also matter, because a lot of times people, you speak that particular language,
Right.
they connect with you. And a lot of the times youngsters born in this country, depending on what language, how their language proficiency is, they may have some challenges, but I think they could learn few things to figure out a way to connect. I think it's about connecting with the other human being and knowing all the, and there are people who are willing to introduce you to those number of organizations, language based, regional based, and then you have, so I have attended almost all the languages programs. You know, I mean, Gujaratis, you have Satgaon, Bavisgaon, you have Saurashtra, you have, you have so many different organizations.
Right.
And when they invite you, you definitely, you should make yourself available.
Right.
And if they don't invite you, make sure find somebody so that way they will invite you to go there.
Right.
And, and no organization is too small,
Right.
no person is too small that you don't need them. Everybody is important.
Very good advice. I really, think it's a great. It's a good, knowledge that we are capturing from you. As I promised, that we'll talk about the national presidential exciting election this year. We've got two nominees, potential nominees of that. One is Democratic Party, and it seems like Hillary Clinton, and on the Republican side, it seems like it's going to be Donald Trump in the convention that's coming up in June sometimes. Let's talk about this year's. I mean, to me, I've been here for a long time in this country, and the election this year is something very different than all the elections I've been
Right, that's
seen
true.
it.
So it's all the experts have failed so far. There is no predictability. The
Right.
variability is unbelievable. And I think Donald Trump, was a businessman, real estate magnate, and he had changed and redefined all the politics. And what he has done in terms of insults, in terms of ideas, in terms of any other politician would have been roadkill by now. But he has really, people say he doesn't poll well, but he keeps winning elections. So he knocked off 15 or 16 other Republican opponents.
Right.
In the, whether it's the strongly ideological based Senator Cruz and Senator Marco Rubio, and you had Ben Carson, the doctor, and you had Jeb Bush, who was supposed to be, when he started, he was supposed to be a potential nominee for the Republican Party.
Right.
Everything he has changed. I think the reason is that people have been, if you look at some of the numbers, since 1973,
Right.
the white blue-collar worker has not seen his, in terms of income and in terms of earning potential, has not gone up significantly. Probably it is true for white females also.
Okay.
So there is built-in anger. They're looking at it. They're looking at the trade policies. There is a lot of the things with respect to, we have free trade. The question always, is it fair trade? Is there illegal dumping taking place? Some countries are taking advantage of the U.S. or not. Those are questions about that.
Right.
Then you are looking at wars. We have went into war in Iraq
right.
and Afghanistan,
right.
the Middle East and Arab Springs, and the crisis and the creation of the ISIS and Islamic Nation,
Right.
and how it has created turbulence in the Middle East and around the world. And the terrorism has no borders now. It has touched the hegemonious United States of America. Three sides you have water, and the other side you have the friendly nation.
Right.
And still terrorism has affected, and trying to figure out why that is happening. Then you have this immigration issue
Right.
from the southern part, and then you look at people crossing the borders and the illegal drugs coming in, and some of the crime associated with that, and also people coming from other countries and overstaying their visas, and the United States doesn't have a system of tracking where the people, people are supposed to leave by a certain date, they're not leaving the country. So the immigration is a very complex issue, and United States is a nation built on meritocracy. Believes in attracting the best and the brightest from around the world, and sometimes these immigration policies, as people have articulated, some of the bright people get education, subsidized education from the United States universities, but they are going back. They have to go back, and so we are losing out some of the potential that could be here. So those individuals could create jobs here, start the businesses and all that. So it's a combination of pocketbook. Right? The incomes are not going up. The income inequality is rather widening, and there's a lot of talk about increasing the minimum wage, and we had the healthcare, Affordable Health Care Act, Obamacare.
Right.
It's quite divisive in that recently Supreme Court, I think one of the things they knocked off, one of the courts said that some parts of the thing, subsidization, is not allowed, and so the healthcare Obamacare was passed purely partisan way, and that did not help unite the nation. There's a lot of challenges, and the refugees from Syria and other countries. How do you handle that? All these issues, and we're really going into outsider, political outsider like Donald Trump, who's able to say anything he wants and still keep winning. And he said, ban the Muslims, it's against the Constitution of the United States.
Right.
And talks about we're going to put tariffs on other countries and how that is going to impact not a lot of the poor people, because when you have a tie, anything you look at is made in China or made in somewhere else, and American consumer is able to benefit from all this free trade, and at the same time corporate inversion, when companies are saying, look, we can't afford to pay this highest corporate tax, which is 35% in the world, and we want to become, Pfizer tried to become Irish company, keeping all the headquarters here because they don't want to pay the high corporate taxes. So there are many challenges that the United States right now facing, and with the passing of Supreme Court Justice Scalia, and now the Supreme Court is deadlocked 4-4, and whether it's the environmental issue, whether the clean power plan, right, and or that's why when President Obama nominated Judge Garland, and whether he is going to get the hearing from the Senate, it's not clear, or they have to wait till the next president of the United States. If the next president is going to be Donald Trump, and what type of justice he's going to appoint, and it's going to be Hillary Clinton, and what type of justice is going to be to left-leaning, what is going to happen to the environmental policy, what's going to happen to some of the issues associated with the Planned Parenthood, and some of the issues which is life and the choice issues that are coming back now with North Carolina passing the law saying that LGBT, and you have to use the bathroom based on your identified self-declared gender. So all these things are not bringing the country together. They're really ripping it apart. I mean, I think so we are in a real crossroads, and the United States of America has to come together, and who is the person who's going to do that? And so we still have a few more months before the Republican National Convention and the Democratic National Convention, but even Senator Bernie Sanders is not going to he's going to continue to contest until the Democratic nomination, and that is again, you have all these millennials and all the young people, and they're trying to use a self-identified democratic socialist, and you live in the largest capitalistic nation, and how do you deal with all that? And so it's a very interesting, at the same time
it's complex,
very complex,
I'm telling you, it's really amazing. I mean, problems were there before also. You know, there is nothing like that. But this is like something. It's really more.
Right. I mean, we don't have the international terrorism is on the dominant the fear and the security. Now we are talking about cyber security, the power plants, the nuclear power plants. You're talking about the telecommunication circuits, how they're going to be affected, and the airline travel has become very difficult, and all those things. I mean, so you have a the war situation, the refugees. Then you have the trade situation with all the fair trade and free trade, and then you have the immigration issue, which has been lingering for a long time. Can we come? And most importantly, the economic situation and the divide between the poor and the rich, and not having the security of the job and the insurance. The insurance costs have gone up tremendously, and health insurance is such an important thing. And how are you going to look at the Medicare situation and the Social Security costs, and various state level you have issues of like pensions, pension funding. Do you have enough money for funding those pensions? Then you're looking at our infrastructure, critical infrastructure, roads and bridges and all that. How do you fund them? And these are all very challenging.
So you know, you mentioned a divide between rich and poor, and that's exactly what your book here talks about.
Right.
Let's talk about this book now. Okay. So what is your solution to the divide between rich and poor, which is always there, and it has broadened a little bit more, I believe, right?
Right. Let me first explain why is it the third way. We know that socialism is fair, but doesn't work. In different countries it's capitalism works, but it's not fair because it's a concentrated capitalism. According to Brookings Institute, top 1%, top 20% have the 86% of the capital wealth, stocks, bonds, and all that stuff.
Wow. Okay.
According to Congressional Budget Office, those are the numbers that top 1% get 275% increase in their income, whereas the rest of the people, basically flat or negative. So these some of the things. What is happening is that there's a lot of talk about minimum wage increasing $15. California, the New Jersey and New York, they're all talking about that. California passed some law over a period of time. Now there is a two sides to it. One is the wages income, where you work 10 hours, 8 hours, whatever the hours, and hourly wages so much, and you make so much money, which is barely takes you through all the expenses. There is another income called capital income, which is the ability to earn money, which is measured in dollars. Like if you have a tool and you can make use of the tool as a carpenter, and you can make something out of it, and the capital. So when you look at the President Abraham Lincoln, when they signed the Homestead Act, 160 acres were given to people to travel west, and at that time land was the capital, and it took 90% labor to convert that into wealth, and so 10% was the 90% labor and 10% was the capital, which is the land, investment land. And now when you look at it, with the technological advances, now people are talking, I was listening to 5G is coming in terms of wireless revolution. A lot of technological advances are taking place. Robots and computers in various things. So the numbers have flipped. Now labor content of the productivity is only 10%, and 90% is the capital. Whether you are a smart device that you carry, or several of them, and so I think what we need to look at is that how can you address this thing. The former White House chief economist Jay Bernstein, he put out a report saying that one way to address the income inequality could be through stocks and employee ownership. In 2008 Republican platform talked about employee ownership as part of their platform. We'd like to see what is going to happen in 2016 presidential platform. Hillary Clinton, Secretary Hillary Clinton, in her website, and she has embraced the idea of employee profit sharing. And recently company CEO of Chobani, the yogurt company, gave 10% of the ownership of the part of the company to the employees, because they say they worked hard and they built this company. And so the concept behind the third way is that they take the good aspects from the socialism and capitalism, and you creating a bridge.
Okay.
And you have to create employee ownership. That's the broad-based ownership that the founding fathers, you know, Washington, Adams, Jefferson, and Madison, all these people talked about broad-based ownership. So if what we are suggesting in the book is that we have 35% corporate tax, which is the highest in the nation.
Right.
So you cut that corporate tax 50%, and only condition is that you encourage the employers who will, in the form of tax credits, they will share that 50% with the employees as ownership. And in urban areas, economically deprived areas, you cut 100% and use that towards giving tax credits, so that way investment, private investment comes into those areas, creating jobs, creating wages, also sharing wealth with the employees. I think that is the concept. And the third aspect is that there are banks that they can loan, if they lend money to companies to set up employee ownership plans, they should, on their earnings, they should get 50% of the earnings should be given the tax treatment. So this was the law when President Reagan signed that into law, but over a period of time under President Bush and President Clinton, they cut back all that money that is going on. So we're saying this is not a new idea. This has been there. We want to make it. Currently, 10,000 companies offer employee ownership, and 15 million people benefit from that. I said, use this concept. It's very powerful. When you're restructuring, coming up with a tax reform, try to look at this thing and give the employees ownership and create incentives. It's not, we're not mandating the corporation, but create incentives so that way we can fight corporate inversion. We can bring back manufacturing, as Donald Trump wants to bring back manufacturing into the United States. We can do all those things, but focus on the employees. And so that way, own it. One of the examples I give you, you know, if you rent a car, how many times have you taken the rental car for a car wash?
Zero.
So, and if you stay in a hotel room, how much care you have taken to your hotel room as opposed to your own bedroom. So there is ownership has a lot of magic to it. And so we are saying that a company that provides employee ownership to the employee, you make hard-working employees, smarter employees, and also stable employment. So that way, so you can really improve the GDP and increase our competitiveness in the world.
But see, the other side is like, you know, government will get less tax revenue because you are giving tax credit, right? So government will be kind of have to give up services that they provide to the people.
That is not totally accurate. Yeah. What happens is that employees, right? If the companies are these, a lot of the investments are going to be long-term investments. The employee stock option plan. Over a period of 10, 15, 20 years, that's when you are going to get the money. So that's when you are, right now, you are, that time when
vested, basically. That's when you get vested.
Vested, then you are paying the taxes after that. Right? The company that they are giving this money, they're not giving that money. They're using that, they have that capital, that they are using that to invest in the company to grow the company. So I think it appears that you are losing the money, and it is only a small part of the tax revenue that you are appropriating for that.
Yeah, I think I mean all I think of is that, you know, I mean, it definitely is a one way to think about it, one way to really, you know, kind of think about it, and whoever comes in next.
Yeah, but if you really look at it, a lot of the corporations with all the loopholes, many of the large corporations pay zero taxes.
I know that. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You know, at least you are diverting this thing and turning it into a long-term investment, And the people who are getting
small businesses also,
Yeah.
small businesses are the one who's paying taxes actually.
right. I'm telling you, this is one of the ideas I advanced in the New Jersey legislature. If you have a small mom and pop shop,
Right,
you worked hard and you built a
Right.
business for 30 years,
Right.
and then you want to retire.
right,
So instead of selling it to out-of-state companies,
right.
why not sell it to your own employees, thereby get the tax credit from the state?
Well, where can someone find this book?
No, Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah,
They-
and
Amazon
also
has
we
it.
have a.
It's called
yeah,
The Third Way.
right.
The Third Way, right?
They have a website called the thirdwaybook.com.
Thirdwaybook.com.
There's a lot of information is given there.
It's given there. Okay. All right. Well, we're running out of time today, but I really appreciate your giving a wealth of knowledge to our viewers, and it's very interesting. I mean, we can talk for 10 hours actually. We can talk for a long time.
Long time, right.
But I mean, we are running out of time today, so but really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, comments, you can email me at rajmitv@gmail.com. That's again rajmitv@gmail.com. You can watch our prior shows on YouTube at youtube.com/Infosys International. That's again youtube.com/Infosys International. Until next time, have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all the time we have today. If you have any questions, comments, you can email me at rajmitv@gmail.com. That's again rajmitv@gmail.com. You can watch our prior shows on YouTube at youtube.com/Infosys International. Again, that's youtube.com/Infosys International. We'll continue the conversation with Honorable Upendra Chikula next week. So until then, have a great week.